And it's India versus NDA. The stage has been set for the mega 2024 magnum opus. And of course, that meeting that took place in Bengaluru yesterday versus the meeting that took place in the national capital, Parmeshwar. So many claims being made there, of course, and the change of name.
Of course, and the NDA apparently claims that they have another party on board supporting them, so that 38 number is likely to change. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, meanwhile, launched a sharp attack on the new opposition last evening, declaring that alliances built on negativity have never won.
Without naming the fresh minted India, I.N.D.I.A, the Prime Minister addressed allies at the mega meet of the NDA, saying that when an alliance is dynastic and corrupt, the country will lose. Of course, he did hit out at the opposition party, saying how the family comes first and the nation is nothing.
Well, the Prime Minister said they're not focused on today or now, but they're actually securing the future of generations to come. And the letters of NDA, the Prime Minister added, represent new India, developed nation and the aspiration of people as well as the region.
हमारे देश में राजनीतिक गठबंधनों की एक लंबी परंपरा रही है, लेकिन जो भी गठबंधन नेगेटिविटी के साथ बने, वे कभी भी सफल नहीं हो पाए। हमारे लिए गठबंधन मजबूरी का नहीं, बल्कि मजबूती का माध्यम है।
आज एनडीए की बैठक में श्री अजीत पवार और मैं उपस्थित हुए थे और 38 राजनीतिक पक्ष इस एनडीए की 25वीं सालगिरह के उपलक्ष्य में यहाँ पर उपस्थित थे। हमारे ओर से अजीत पवार साहब ने जो भी हमारी प्रस्तुति थी एनडीए की बैठक में रखी और अब हम एनडीए के एक अभिन्न पार्ट हैं और आगे की सभी जो कार्रवाई होगी एनसीपी एनडीए के साथ मिलकर काम करेगी।
आज से हम लोग एनडीए में शामिल हुए और एनडीए की बैठक में सब लोगों ने सर्वसम्मत से ये निर्णय लिया कि आगामी 2024 के चुनाव में नरेंद्र मोदी जी को देश का प्रधानमंत्री बनाने का काम हम सब लोग मिलकर के गरीब, कमजोर, पिछड़े, दलित, अल्पसंख्यक सब लोग मिलकर के करेंगे। ये प्रस्ताव देखिए, हमारा एक प्रस्ताव है हमारी कम्युनिटी का है, बहुत राज्यभर जाति को अनुसूचित जनजाति में शामिल करने का एक हाई कोर्ट का आदेश है। उस आदेश का पालन करने के लिए वो आदेश है कि उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार केंद्र को भेजे और केंद्र जो है उसको करे।
आज एनडीए की बैठक थी, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के अध्यक्षता में 39 पार्टी के लोग थे, प्रमुख लोग थे। बैठक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण थी और जो पिछले 50-60 सालों में जो काम नहीं हुआ था डेवलपमेंट का, उसके ऊपर चर्चा हुई। जो 50-60 सालों में नहीं हुआ जो विकास का काम इस देश के लिए, वो 9 सालों में मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में एनडीए सरकार ने करके दिखाया है।
We now have a confirmation. The BJP does claim that 39 parties were at the NDA meet. Now, the distant factions of Bihar's Lok Janshakti Party took one step towards each other yesterday as Chirag Paswan was seen touching his uncle Pashupati Paras's feet and getting a warm hug in return at the NDA meet presided over by the Prime Minister.
Now, the amity was on display less than 72 hours after Mr. Paras was heard making strong remarks against his nephew and declaring that he has said a firm no to the BJP suggestion that the divided party has unified. Well, of course, Parmeshwar, these are the details that were sent to us earlier regarding Chirag Paswan and that patch-up that we can see on our screens.
And after a two-day meeting in Bengaluru of 26 opposition parties, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge announced the new name for the alliance, as Divya was mentioning, and they have called it India.
Well, Mamata Banerjee has gone on to say that NDA, do you think you can defeat India? While Rahul Gandhi said that it would be a Modi versus India battle for the 2024 general elections.
It was also announced that a secretariat will be set up in Delhi for poll campaign management.
and a coordination committee. That is what is going to be formed when they meet next, and that next meeting will take place in Mumbai, though we don't have a date yet. So that will be the third meeting of the 26 opposition parties coming together against the NDA.
In fact, the government has convened an all-party meeting to deliberate on a host of issues related to Parliament's monsoon session, which, by the way, begins on the 20th of this month.
Now, it's a customary get-together on the eve of the session start as various parties put across their issues at the meeting attended by senior government ministers. The last session of the Parliament was marred by frequent opposition protests.
Arvind Gunasekar has all the details
ahead of
for
the
us.
monsoon session of the Parliament, the customary all-party meeting has been scheduled for around 3 p.m. where the government, the political executives, including the Union Parliamentary Affairs ministers, will be hosting all-party members of all-party for this particular meeting. So today the government will be speaking to the members of all party, wherein they would be discussing the bills that is listed for the upcoming monsoon session, and then as expected the government will be asking for cooperation from the opposition benches, wherein they would be asking the opposition parties to cooperate with the smooth functioning of the parliament. If you could remember the last session, it was a complete near washout with opposition parties raising several issues, but this time the government is very hopeful that they could bring the opposition parties for a discussion, and then there could be some productive function that happens in the parliament. So what we are also being told is that after the opposition meet that took place in Bangalore, the opposition parties will again once again meet, especially the parliament wings of all these opposition parties will once again meet, wherein they would be chalking out a joint strategy to corner the government in both houses of the parliament. But government is also ready with regrouping NDA, so it will be both NDA versus India, the formation that we could see both inside and outside the parliament when it comes to this monsoon session.
And to get more on this, joining us live this morning to decode this is Aarti Jairat, the senior journalist, as well as Sudesh Verma, spokesperson of the BJP. We will be joined by Bhavya Narasimha as well from the Congress party in just a bit. So let's in fact take our first question to Aarti Jairat.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us this morning. Well, the elephant in the room, like Arvind Kejriwal and Sitaram Yechury have insisted, seat sharing is the main issue for this new alliance. For example, in Kerala and West Bengal, the Congress and the left have been traditional rivals. Now, what are some of the top challenges for this new alliance, according to you?
Well, I think you mentioned that, seat sharing is, of course, going to be quite a challenge. But I think, I think some kind of talks have already taken place, in the back room on how they're going to divide up the seats. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen this alliance come together and come up with a name and put up the show of unity at Bengaluru as we saw. If you remember at the Bihar conclave, there were some, discordant voices. So that was not there at this meeting in Bengaluru. So I think a lot of things are going on back channel, which we in the media or we in the public cannot see. These things will take shape as they come up. So, I think there are two key things. One, of course, is seat sharing. The other is to come up with a coherent, imaginative narrative that is going to catch people's attention. The BJP has this ready-made narrative of development and all the work that the government has done. Now it's not enough to just criticize the government and say that, no, but you haven't done this, you haven't done that. You have to come up with something that catches people's imagination. And I think that is what they really need to work on, much more than seat sharing. I think seat sharing will fall into place, but it's the narrative, the punchy narrative which catches people's imagination. That's what they need to work out in the next few weeks.
Right. We also have Bhavya Narasimha. This is Narasimha Murthy joining us from the Congress. If you could tell us, is Sonia Gandhi going to continue being that adhesive force, ironing out differences? Can we expect her to be the president of the front?
Mrs. Gandhi has been very successful in, both UPA 1 and 2 in retaining the alliance partners and gaining their confidence. No wonder if 26 parties have come together again and of which in 11 states, they all have governments. But still, we are a party with, who respect democracy. And next meeting, which is going to be held in Mumbai, the phase of the alliance or the leader of the alliance will be decided there. Until then, we can't really comment on it. And like what was announced yesterday, there is a coordination committee that will be set up, and a campaign committee that will be set up to bring about the coordination, the differences that you were speaking about between the parties, the coordination, to have constant coordination. We are even setting up a committee there. Most importantly, Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance. The basic agenda is about embracing our diversity, which is, BJP sees as a threat on one hand, and then inclusive development. So these two are our basic agenda. And we will also have a common minimum program for all the parties together. We're going to come together and bring in a common minimum program. And we are very sure this battle, like in 2024, the elections will be between the idea of India and idea of BJP. And we know India always wins.
Right, I think it's a good time to get in Sudesh Verma for a rebuttal. As far as the challenges for the NDA alliance is concerned, as opposed to the new India alliance, if we talk about the past ones, Eknath Shinde, Ajit Pawar, all of them are likely to ask for a full share in the seat allocations. How exactly is the BJP going to handle such a situation and pacify everyone? Mr. Verma?
Sure, I'll answer that. But let me first describe the new alliance that has come up. It's a forced concoction of casteist, corrupt and dynastic forces that have come together. And they've taken a forced acronym, in which you have developmental, we have inclusive, it doesn't gel actually. And it's very sad that they have named it India because, we are sure that 2024 they are going to be defeated lock, stock and barrel. Because you see, they want to have this acronym, then as Modi ji said actually, is the new India, developed India and aspirational India. You are fighting against this India. The old India of Nehru, you cannot fight with the new India, which is aspirational, which is developed already. We are the 5th largest economy of the world. So if you're forcing an acronym, you are actually going to insult the name India when this alliance gets defeated. And let me come to the next point. You see, what is their agenda? It's a negative agenda. They want to fight the BJP. They want to remove Mr. Modi. But for what? He has done a splendid job. If you want to contest on issues which we have raised or...
Mr. Verma, is that a negative agenda? Because in a democracy, is it
That's
then...
exactly what happens.
I just want to ask Mr. Verma, will it really be a negative agenda to put up a tough competition?
No, it's not tough competition. Where is the competition? Tell me, was UPA bad? Bhabya said that Sonia Gandhi has done a splendid good job as UPA chairman. Tell me, if UPA was so good, where was the need to rename it into India? Do they have some, new acronym because they've changed something? No, they're just trying to fool people, putting everything. The expression that comes is old wine in a new bottle. So people know by changing your color, by changing your dress, you cannot fool people. They know what forces you represent. So that is why there is no contest at all, and we are going to win 2024 hands down. We are very confident of that. But the way they're trying to fool people, they talk of New India, they talk of democracy, but they don't speak a word against what is happening in West Bengal.
Let's get into the Congress party as well to respond. Bhavya, come in, please.
The problem with NDA is, right after our opposition meet in Patna, this NDA meet was announced as a response to it. And we all know the alliance partners of NDA have left them. And today, BJP is knocking each of their alliance partners' doors. They don't have the confidence of their own alliance partners. Yes, they have, met yesterday, but I don't really think they'll be successful enough there. And coming to, the BJP spokesperson speaking about opposition leaders, talking about various issues, how about a state in Northeast, Manipur burning, and so far Prime Minister not even giving a statement about it or even visit the state where nearly 200 people have died. And thousands have, are in hospitals. There are like thousands of cases, and still the Prime Minister doesn't speak a word about it. How about that? He's on foreign trips. And what about those?
While you're raising valid concerns, they're noted. But as far as the alliances are concerned, if we just talk about your report card, the Congress's track record against the BJP in 2019 was actually quite poor. I know you're raising very pertinent points, but 7.9% was the Congress's strike rate back in 2019. Don't you think this needs desperate fixing going ahead with this new alliance, with this new chapter?
Of course we will fix. We have seen where we have gone wrong, and we are going to correct ourselves wherever we went wrong. And this time we are very sure this alliance will be a success, and we will be defeating this notion that, Mr. Modi is the face of India, or, I mean, he's not. Like, people keep comparing Mr. Modi with India, and, the MPs come and say, if you're against Modi, if you're against India. No, that's not what it is. India is about people. That is what we are going to prove here. Like, today, among these 26 parties, 11 of them are in government, have formed government in different states. So we are a majority here, and we will definitely win this time and show the people of India that democracy will be restored, and they need not, fear. Whether it is Hindus fearing about their religion, no, this fear and all started after 2014. Till then, everybody felt safe in this country. So this is what we are going to restore. Right. The real India, the real diverse India, for every community to live in peace and harmony. That is our main agenda. And most importantly, economic development and the rising prices and unemployment. Mention a problem and we can say, yes, every problem, whether it is economical problem or a communal problem, it exists in India today. Or whether it is women issues, the safety of women. We know how, the wrestlers, the female wrestlers who brought us medals have been protesting there only to protect one man. The whole government stands with him, the MP Brij Bhushan Singh, only to protect him.
Thank you so much for we're absolutely out of time right now, so we will have this discussion at some other point, because of course that third meeting is coming up in Mumbai, and we will keep updating our viewers on the situation there. For now, we'll have to slip into a very short break. Welcome back. Let's get you news coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Now, 2 migrant labourers were injured in a terrorist attack in I.N.D.I.A district of the southern part of Kashmir on Tuesday evening. Their condition said to be stable, and a massive hunt has been launched in order to nab the attackers. The incident took place in the Lal Chowk area of I.N.D.I.A. This is in Jammu and Kashmir. We have my colleague Nazir joining us on the phone line to get us more details. Nazir, there is a massive hunt going on as far as those attackers are concerned. 2 labourers were attacked in I.N.D.I.A in Jammu and Kashmir yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Very unfortunately, innocent labourers being made target like this, and they have been injured have been shifted to hospital, where their condition is stated to be, stable. This is the second such attack on migrant labourers in Kashmir in last 5 days. Earlier in Shopian, 3 labourers were shot at and injured. And yesterday, police issued an order and removed the SHO of the area for the security lapse in the area, which led to the attack. But we see within hours of that, order, there was this attack on these labourers in Anantnag town. And despite the fact there's massive security deployment on the ground since Amarnath Yatra is going on, we saw these 2 innocent people have been shot at. What is their crime? Only thing, they come here from faraway places to eke out their living, and they are made target like this. It has not happened first time. It is more than any police or the security issue, a social issue. These people actually contribute to the economy, construction, orchards, working in orchards. And the same people are being targeted time and again, and they become the victim. They become this in the senseless while they are being targeted again.
Right, thank you so much, Nazir, for getting us those details. Those two migrants are said to be stable but in hospital. We will get you more details on the other side of a very short break. Do stay with us.
Eat low down the food chain as often as you can. So that means more vegetables, more fruits, grains and beans. Choose locally sourced and seasonal produce. Now, generally speaking, eating only locally grown food for 1 year would save the greenhouse gas equivalent of driving 1,600 kilometers.
Welcome back. Let's get you news from Manipur now. And the government there has decided to not relax curfew in the morning in the Meitei-dominated valley districts, including the capital Imphal and the Kuki tribe-dominated areas for today after a high-level meeting that took place late last night by the Chief Minister N. For the past couple of weeks, the morning and daytime relaxation in curfew was allowed. But today, the women groups have called for a massive protest rally in Imphal, and so the morning curfew has not been relaxed, according to police sources. Meanwhile, the police have arrested 30 people on Tuesday after a mob set ablaze the vehicle of an IPS officer on duty. This is in the Imphal West area, while in another incident, at least 19 women were injured during a clash with the Rapid Action Force in the same district. Do remember that they have been on a 72-hour blockade as far as the highway is concerned, and which is due to the killing of a Naga woman that took place on a Saturday, the 15th of this month. The Met Office has forecast light to moderate a fairly widespread rain which could get intense and heavy in certain parts, which could be to the tune of more than 64 millimeters to about 200 millimeters across the state of Gujarat from now till about Saturday, which is the 22nd of July. When we talk about the last 24 hours, 300 millimeters of rainfall has been recorded in Rajkot, and that too in a matter of just a few hours. That is what we've seen, which has led to waterlogging in various parts of Rajkot. Those visuals on your screen, where many parts of Gujarat have been inundated in the area of Rajkot. In the next 24 hours, very heavy showers are expected in Gujarat, in Saurashtra and Kutch as well. An orange category warning has been sounded off for these areas over the next 48 hours. Moderate flash flood risks are likely over a few watersheds and neighbouring parts of South Gujarat region, Saurashtra and Kutch, and that is what the Met Office had said. Surface runoff or inundation may occur in some fully saturated soils and low-lying areas in the period. Fisherfolk have been advised against venturing into the sea owing to the possible rough sea conditions and squally weather over the next few days. Let's get you a check on the climate explainers with my colleague I.N.D.I.A. She talks about which diet has the lowest carbon footprint. In this latest episode of the climate explainers, Anubhav Bhosle and Pallavi Prasad explore the possibilities of creating sustainable changes for the planet through mindful food choices. Take a look.
Hi everybody, in a previous episode of the Climate Explainers, we talked about ways in which we can reduce our carbon footprints. That is, reduce the amount of climate change causing greenhouse gases. Now, some of you responded saying, how fair is it that we individuals make all these changes while giant companies continue to contribute to climate change? Now I understand the frustration. Did you know it was British Petroleum that first introduced the idea of calculating carbon footprints? Now, while this may seem like a positive step towards environmental responsibility, remember, this is British Petroleum we are talking about. It is one of the largest fossil fuel companies in the world. In 2022, its carbon emissions were 51.1 million tons. An average person emits 4 to 5 tons of carbon every year. So many see this initiative by BP as greenwashing. And that's another term that gets used so very often by scholars and civil society. We're going to explain it in more detail in a later episode. But for now, I want to bring in Pallavi to expand just a bit on what is greenwashing.
Well, greenwashing is simply a term used when companies make themselves appear more environmental friendly than they actually are, often to deflect attention from their negative impacts. So in this context, yes, carbon footprints can be seen as a way to shift burden and blame onto consumers, making them feel responsible for climate change. And in a way, shifting the onus onto the citizen, the consumer, instead of the big systemic changes needed in the fossil fuel industry or corporations. But here's the thing. When we make changes in our own lives, we not only make an immediate impact on our environment, but we also create a force for change. Our actions, small, tangible, consistent, can motivate others, people, leaders, companies to move towards climate action. With that in mind, we are focusing this episode on reducing carbon footprints through our food and diets.
Now, before we do that, I want to reiterate that food is your personal, individual choice. We are not here to suggest any diet or any food group. While research is still evolving on what the most environmentally friendly diet is, a good rule of thumb to go by is eat low down the food chain as often as you can. So that means more vegetables, more fruits, grains and beans. Choose locally sourced and seasonal produce. Now, generally speaking, eating only locally grown food for 1 year would save the greenhouse gas equivalent of driving 1,600 kilometers. So, net, support local farmers. Reduce transportation emissions by opting for fruits and vegetables and other food products that are grown and harvested locally. For meat lovers, swapping meats like beef and lamb with chicken can make a difference. Or swap a few meals per week to vegetarian. I want to say this once again. Food is your personal, individual choice. But experts mostly agree that cutting down on meat and red meat in particular is a better choice for the environment. Why, do you ask? Well, because production of red meat uses a lot of feed, a lot of water and land. Cows themselves also give off methane emissions. What else? Well, you can try to reduce processed foods. Instead, choose whole foods. You can reduce packaging waste and the energy consumed during processing. If you can afford, try to source from brands that are actually prioritizing sustainable agricultural practices which actually promote soil health, biodiversity, and water conservation. Another thing, when you buy food, look for eco-friendly packaging options that use minimal plastic or are made from sustainable materials. Carry a reusable water bottle, coffee cup, or grocery bags to minimize plastic waste. Speaking of which, there is one thing we can all agree on, and that is cutting down our food waste and take home what is left of those oversized restaurant savings. I'm going to stop here. Remember, you can leave a comment wherever you're seeing this and tell us some ways in which you are trying to reduce your carbon footprint. If you've been watching from our entire team here, thank you so much for all your time.
And the Great Climate Change Challenge is now open, and we're looking to connect with social entrepreneurs, tech innovators, NGOs, young scientists, as well as students. If you're a climate change warrior or know someone who's doing incredible work in this space, send us your entries at ndtv.com/climate change, and we'll bring some of the most innovative stories to the world. Welcome back. Let's get you some international news now. And with July and August the most critical months for heat wave, the United Nations is warning countries around the world to expect a severe impact on human health. The United Nations body says the growth in simultaneous heat waves in the northern hemisphere has increased sixfold since the 1980s. Record-breaking temperatures have already been felt in Asia, North and Central America, Africa as well as the Middle East. Now Europe is facing the danger caused by unrelenting high temperatures as well as forest wildfires. Scientists say that there's a chance that 2023 will go down as being the hottest year since records began in the mid-19th century. The United Nations Security Council held its first meeting on artificial intelligence on Tuesday, where China said that technology should not become a runaway horse, and the United States warned against its use to censor or repress people. Britain's Foreign Secretary, this is James Cleverly, who chaired the meeting under Britain's July presidency of the body, said AI will fundamentally alter every aspect of human life. Antonio Guterres backs the calls by some states for the creation of a new UN body to support collective efforts to govern this extraordinary technology, modelled on the International Atomic Energy Agency, the International Civil Aviation Organization, or the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
And show the way towards common measures for transparent.
Facebook owner Meta have released a new and free-of-charge version of its artificial intelligence model, making a play against ChatGPT maker OpenAI as well as Google. Crucially, Llama is open source, meaning that its inner workings are available to all to be tinkered with and modified, unlike the headline-grabbing AIs developed by OpenAI and Google. The new, more powerful version of Meta's model would be available to any business for download, or also through Microsoft's Azure cloud service in a special partnership with the Windows maker. At least 14 people have died in landslides in the southern part of Colombia. Heavy rain led to a stream bursting its banking, descending on the village close to the southern part of Colombia. Officials have confirmed to the local media that the dead include 5 women, 5 men and 3 children. Donald Trump has said he expects to be arrested by a federal inquiry into the U.S. Capitol riot and efforts to challenge the 2020 election results. The ex-president said in a social media post that he had been informed by special counsel Jack Smith on Sunday that he was a target of their investigation. Trump posted that he was told to report to a grand jury, which almost means an arrest or an indictment. Such an indictment would be Trump's third for his alleged criminal offences, including 37 counts brought by Mr. Smith's team in June, accusing the president of mishandling classified documents. And Twitter's new competitor Threads, created by Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, saw remarkable success after its launch. It crossed over 100 million users and became the fastest growing app ever. However, new reports suggest that the usage has dropped by half from the initial surge witnessed around its launch. A report by a data tracking site, SimilarWeb, says that the number of daily active users has dropped from 49 million to about 23.6 million, and that too in a matter of a week, meaning people who rush to sign up aren't coming back regularly. The report says that on its best day, that's the 7th of July, Threads had more than 49 million daily users on Android worldwide. But by Friday, the 14th of July, the app was down to 23.6 million active users. The report said that the Threads audience is about 22% the size of Twitter's.